In this video, I'll be showing you the best places to loot in all of Sasau. I've included a link to the Notion database in the description, free for all to use. Let's get started. So we're going to start off our Sasau adventures by looting the monastery first, then we will head to the workshop, and finally the big town. So we're going to come in through the south side. There's a double entrance. We're going to go right past all this stuff, and we're going to go to where all these injured people are. And if you first walk in, very hard chest on the floor to your right. This has potions, it's got recipe, alchemist dream, and one of the treasure maps. So not really good in terms of money loot. There's an 80 groschen as well, but if you need the skill book and the treasure map, this is a good spot to go. Next, we're going to leave here. We're going to go past the monastery and go through this archway. We're going to make a left. There's a couple ways to get up there. This is probably the easiest one. We're going to come up this doorway. Just don't mind the bodies. Don't mind the bodies flopping around everywhere. And then there's a guard tower up here where they usually like to sleep. So again, just like always, if this is a guard post, just be careful, maybe at nighttime when people are mostly sleeping. The downstairs has 36 groschen. And if you go upstairs, there's another easy chest with 46. So about 80, a little more than 80 there. And then some decent gear. Male coif worth 326. And then we're going to exit and go on to the next one, which is in the corner. So leaving from the stairway that we went up, we're going to go to the back corner. So all the way to the back, hang a right, and it's this building right here. Usually there's somebody guarding it, and this door is typically very hard to get in. Sometimes it will be unlocked if somebody like a guard came in and came out like this. This guy probably was coming and going. He's a bit of a douchebag, so we'll deal with him real quick, and then we can go on with our looting. So a couple of easy chests here. The one on the left's got some jewelry. Or silverware, I mean. Some alcohol here. If you go through the downstairs door, it is very hard. But if you can manage to get in, there are a couple more very hards in here that have some decent stuff. The one on the right's got nothing. The one all the way in the back by the fireplace. This one has some good mail chausses, so good armor. And then along the left wall, there's another very hard. This one has even more silverware. And then some books if you're trying to level up. That's it. Let's go upstairs. There's a lot more stuff upstairs. There is usually another guard up here, so you do have to be careful. But right when you come up, there is a footlocker. This has 33 groschen and a little bit of armor. Another easy chest right next to it with some more groschen and a male coif. And then we're going to go through the door, and this is into the noble's chamber. In the back corner, there is an unlocked cabinet. It's got a little bit of groschen and some armor in it. And that's pretty much it. These other ones are duds. There's not much in it. So let's go back out and go to the next property. So we're going to go back towards the monastery. Now, you could go in the monastery. There's a couple things in there. It's really a hassle to get in there unless you're doing the quest where you become a monk. I don't really recommend doing it. It's kind of a pain in the neck, and there's guards everywhere once you get caught. They actually spawn from off the map, and they just come flooding the area. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go upstairs here. You're going to go to this door all the way in the back, or you can go in through the side one if you want. They both get there. But we'll go in the one straight in so we can bypass those two guys. And then we're going to proceed in and make a left. There's a chest back here. This very hard chest has some decent stuff in it. A reliable blade, an axe, and then some lower tier stuff if you need some lower stats. And then we'll proceed a little further. We'll go a couple more doors, and you're just going to go through these sleeping quarters, and you break into the actual monastery itself. So we're going to make our way to eventually this dining hall. There's a chest in here with a quest key, so we'll take that just for later use. And then this cabinet is completely unlocked, and it's got some pretty high valuable silverware in here. So once you have that, you're pretty much done. We're going to back out and go over to the workshop area. With 73 locks, the Sasau Monastery can be a great place for a skilled thief to train lockpicking. But it's not the easiest place to farm XP, and the loot is quite bad. So we're going to leave the monastery from the double doors that we came in at, and then we'll work our way towards the workshop area. There's not a whole lot of good loot here. Most of it's in the town, but there are a couple things here that we're going to want to visit. So if we make our way all the way to this little U-shaped building right in the middle, see this U-shape? The first building we're going to go into is the one on the west side. So make your way down there and go into the one on the west side. And if you go to the northernmost door, which is this one right here, you're going to go straight in here and make a right. Go through that first door. On your right-hand side, you're going to see a very hard chest right here. This has 200 groschen in it. A bunch of meat, too. I know there's a quest where you're supposed to bring meat back, so you could do this if you don't want to collect a bunch of the other stuff. Next, we're going to exit and go to the second building, which is the bottom part of the U, which is this one right here. So we're going to go with the one all the way on the left. There's a little staircase right here. We're going to come right in and immediately make a right. There's a small chest on top of this other box. It's an easy lock, so easy to get to. We're mostly interested in these mail chausses. That's 1200. Very good item for an easy lock to get into. And then if you go upstairs, there's a quest item you can get up here. So right when you come up the stairs straight ahead, there's a very hard lock. This one has the engraver's document. You'll need that for a quest later. You might as well grab it now if you can pick it. And then we're going to exit and go to the blacksmith now. So we'll leave this building. We're going to go slightly to the left, and it's this guy right here. He's got a little shed back here. It is a very hard lock. So once you go, it's not quite to the cows, but it's past where he's doing the blacksmithing. There's an easy chest with lockpicks, but we're more interested in the chest behind the door. Very hard lock. And this is where he stashed all the goodies. They're 400 groschen here, noble horseshoes, and then again, these guys always have a bunch of low tier trash, and then some armor's kits, some blacksmith and armor kits, and some arrows. And that's it for the workshop area. Like I said, there's not too much here, but it is worth going to because you can get a little bit of groschen there. There are a few locks here in the actual inn, and there's a bell-shaped kettle hat. I think that's usually worth about 600 or 700 groschen, and then there's some expensive clothes. There's really not that much to be had here, to be honest. There's no raw groschen that you can get. I would spend most of my time in the actual town itself. There isn't much to talk about here. 30 locks in total and just over 600 groschen to steal. It's not a bad spot to get free cash, but aside from that, I would head south to the main town. So we're going to start up here at the weaponsmith, which is in the far east, right in the back right corner, if you're looking at the map. And it looks like this on their symbol. We're going to go underneath. There's some lockpicks outside in one of these chests. The other stuff is charcoal, not really anything worth going in there. Mostly we're looking for loot on the inside. So we're going to go inside and go upstairs. This is a hard locked door. Sometimes there's people sleeping in here, and a very hard chest immediately on your left when you come in. 1500 groschen, definitely worth taking a pit stop here. The other chests don't have a whole lot. Sometimes there's weapons in here. Last time when I was collecting the data, there were a ton of weapons everywhere. I'm not quite sure where they went, although I suspect when the shop is open, they do have quite a few things out for display. So if you can get them out of the area, there's ways to do it. Like you can get a body and throw it down in here, and that'll cause them to spook and run and call the guards. You'll have a few seconds before they come. The other option is you could stand pretty far away and try and get a shot through the window, and that'll cause them to spook and then go call for the guards. Make sure you're not too close because they'll know it was you if you're too close and they see you doing it. But yeah, there's some decent ones here. The Fear Not, the Duelist. There's some pretty expensive weapons here. But that's it for the blacksmith. The 1500 groschen is well worth it though. Definitely worth covering it for that. So we're moving on from the weaponsmith. We're going to go about 3 houses down, and it's going to be this one right here. They've got a little shack in the middle with 2 big houses on the flank. Not this one that's got no middle and a fence. So go to this one. We're going to go to the building on the left. There's a very hard chest right here. There's a very hard chest right when you walk in. This has got 100 groschen in it. Next, we're going to exit, and we're going to go all the way down to building number 9. It's all the way in the end, right before you leave the church area. Going to the tailor shop, you can see he's got the symbol right outside. Like I said, right before you get to the church, you'll make a left. We'll come in here, go through the side door. We're going to go in past the staircase and make a left. There's a hard door here, and then this is where they've got all the goodies stashed. There's 4 chests here, all locked by very hard. Let's start looting them. The one on the left has clothing. The tall one on the left has 1000 groschen in it and some decent clothing. You've got a brocade worth 1200. The one on the back wall also has some decent clothing, not all that great though. And then the one right in front of you when you first open the door, this has some decent clothing as well. So a lot of clothing to sell in here or wear in 1000 groschen. And you only have to get past 2 doors to get to it. And it's not all that crowded right here, so not too worried about getting caught. Next is kind of a questionable one. It got 200 groschen. It's not the greatest to go to, but it is half decent. And it's right behind the church. So if you're looking at the back side of the church, it's this property right here. You can see this is the cobbler. So we're going to go right in. If you make a right, there's an easy locked door and a very hard chest right here with 200 groschen in it. So again, when you first walk in, you make a right, unlock this, and it's the chest on the floor right in front of you. We're going to go back towards the church. So you should be able to see the church from here, and it's the scribe right here. He doesn't have a sign up, but when you get near it, it'll tell you that you're near the scribe. So we're going to go straight in and go through that front door. There's a storage in the back. It's locked by a hard lock. But if you make your way back here, there's a very hard chest, 40 groschen, and some decent supplies. Now we'll make our way upstairs. So we're going to go upstairs and into the big living quarters. You can see right here, there's a very hard lock chest. This has 200 groschen and a ton of books. There's some skill books in here that you can read as well. Primer level 3 is one of them, and then just regular books you can get some reading XP from. There's another very easy chest right next to it with more books if you need it. There's some silverware along the wall and a very easy chest. Another 32 groschen, some decent clothing on the easy chest, and another very easy with silverware. Now, usually there's some weapons in here as well. I wasn't able to find them. I believe that's because the guards will put them there when they go to sleep. So some of these things are dependent on RNG or the time of the day that you're going after it. So just be aware of that. You're not always going to get everything, but the money will always be there. The books and stuff will always be there. The weapons and armor are sometimes a little bit luck dependent. We're going to go down 2 properties to the armor smith. And again, you're going to see the symbol outside that makes it easy. Go straight in there. And if we go to the right, the left is where they live. The right, I believe, is where they have their storage. So we're going to come in here. There's a hard lock door right when you come in on the right-hand side. We're going to go open that up. And then there's a bunch of chests in here. So very hard. You can see there's a lot of stuff in here. 2,500, 13, 12, 1,100. A lot of stuff well above 500 gold. Second chest, very hard as well. This one also has some very expensive stuff. The one on the back wall, less expensive stuff, but still pretty good. There's 2 on the left. I think this one actually is better than the one in Ratai. There's even more stuff, and the one in Ratai is really good. But this one's probably just a little bit better. So again, more stuff. It's kind of redundant at this point. You could tell there's literally tens and tens of thousands of groschen worth of stuff. And then the one closest to when you first come in, there's another 2,000 in here. Really, really good. We'll take the 2K. Again, you could go into the living quarters if you want. There's a little bit of stuff there. Not really worth it, though. You're going to find your best value by going to the one across from it, which is their storage. Now we're going to go out and further down the road to building number 21 if you're looking at the database, which is the one across from the inn. So you'll see the inn. It's got a raised platform area. Right across from it, you'll see the trader. We're going to come in here, go right in their main house to make sure nobody interrupts our looting spree here. So the chest behind the front table, if you go past it back here, it's a pretty easy chest to get into. It's got 280 groschen and then a bunch of the usual trader stuff. The other chest has some decent clothing in here. And then if you go into the main living quarters, which is technically trespassing, so you have to be careful. They will follow you in here, so you got to get them out somehow. This chest is hiding a Hercules and his diet too, and then more of the usual trader stuff. Arrows, a little bit of clothing, and a bunch of consumables. So that's it. Let's head out and go to the next one. There is 200 groschen and nothing else at the town. Directly to the north on the other side of the fence when you leave this one, there's a butcher shop. This one has 200 groschen in it. So you're going to come in here, you're going to make a right into their living quarters. So when you first come in, if you don't have to deal with a shop guard or them, you make a right. There's an easy locked door, and you're going to want the chest straight to the back, very hard. This one has 200 groschen in it and a bunch of meat. So we're going to exit and go back up here towards the middle where that tavern was. There's a book and 150 groschen in here that we need to get to. So there will usually be a bunch of people milling about. If you've got decent stealth, you can just do it in the broad daylight. There's a very hard lock right here. Not the main one where people go into to sleep, but they have a little storage area. So you're going to want to go into this one. And then there's another very hard lock back here. All their stash is here with 150 groschen. Tavern life, and then the usual stuff. Save your schnapps, alcohol, and other consumables. Next, we're going to visit the bathhouse. Not really that good of stuff there. There's 100 groschen and a book, but we're going to leave. Further towards the river, on the left-hand side right here, you can see on the map, you see a bunch of white tents right here. So we're going to go to the building on the left. We're going to go to the second door on the right, farther in the back. There's 2 chests in here. One of them is kind of blocked by the door. You probably need to close it. This one is very hard to open. It's got 100 groschen in it, a ton of potions, and then Marathon 2 skill book. And then the one on the left is an easy chest to open, and it has some decent clothing in here. And that's pretty much it for the bathhouse. There's other stuff you can open for XP, but nothing worth checking for loot. Now we're going to keep going down the road to the armor smith, which is pretty close to the bridge that we came in on. That's how you get into the armor smith. It's going to be this one right here on the map. It is right here, and this is building 26 if you're looking at the database. So we're going to go right into his property. There's 2 doors, the one in the back. It's a very easy lock to get in, and then a very hard chest. This has most of the good stuff. There's 400 groschen here, some noble horseshoes, and then some lower tier stuff, usual kits. There are some other chests here. This one is a very hard lock in the very front room. It's got some decent clothing in it. Not really that good though, to be honest. I would mostly focus on this one, get the money and get out. Sasau Town boasts 185 locks to pick, over 6,500 raw groschen to steal, and over 100,000 worth of gear and loot to take. The layout is much more open than Ratai as well, making it safer to rob. This is a great first town to start in. Next, we've got a loot guide covering all of the treasure map loot scheduled for next month. A big thanks goes out to the channel members and Patreon supporters who help support this channel. They get ad-free early access to all of our videos, and members-only behind-the-scenes videos like how we make thumbnails, construct the databases, edit the videos, and so much more. consider joining if you're interested in supporting as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next video. Four very hard cases. There's four very hard stash. Fucking Christ.